Halloween on the high seas? Is it worth all the hype? Welcome back, Disney Cruisers! I'm Ashley. Today I'm talking about Halloween on the high seas because they just had the first Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, and I love Halloween, and so I figured why not talk about the Halloween on the high seas cruises while it's almost Halloween time. It would only be appropriate that I wear the correct attire for this video, even though you can't really see a lot of it, but I'm going to show you. So I wore this on my Halloween on the High Seas cruise. This I got at Target for $12.99. There are events and contests that go on the Halloween on the High Seas sailings that do not happen on other sailings. And so today I'm going to share with you what I enjoyed and what I did not enjoy. First off, I will say that they do have costume parties. They have the Mickey Masquerade Party, which is either held in the atrium or outside. Now, pros and cons to both. Pro for the inside was that it is air conditioned. Con for the inside is that it is crowded and you have to go up and down different decks. Pro for outside, it is a large open area. Con for the outside, it's hot. So keep in mind when you are putting your children in costumes, it could be inside, it could be outside. It is simply up to the crew, the weather for that day, what they feel like doing, it changes. During the Mickey Masquerade Party, that is when you go around and you trick or treat. If you've ever been to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, basically the same setup. You just get in the lines, you go up to the cast member and you say trick or treat, and they'll give you candy in your bag. You can go around to as many as you want and get as much candy as you would like. Just know that it does have a cutoff time, but you could be doing that for the entire time if you would like. There is also a costume contest for adults later in the evening in the adult section of the ship. This is a contest and there are winners announced, so make sure you're prepared and have a great costume. I will tell you that the costumes that win the majority of the time are Disney related in some way, and they're kind of like obscure Disney characters or people who are like really diehard Disney fans, like only they would know about it. As far as rules for your costumes, you cannot have full face masks. You cannot have anything that's not family appropriate. You also cannot bring anything that goes with your costume that resembles a gun or a weapon of any kind, even if it's just a toy. They do not allow those. And then also if you are dressed as a Disney character, which you are completely allowed to do, you just cannot act like you are that character on that ship. You cannot pose for pictures with people, create people like standing in a line to come meet you, and you cannot sign autographs. So you have to let people know that you are just another passenger on the ship and you are not the real Cinderella or the real Captain Hook, whoever you are. But Disney does encourage everyone to dress up. The characters dress up, cast members are in their Halloween costumes, and it's a lot of fun. It reminds me of the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, to be honest. Now, while I enjoy doing this, and I think it is a nice gesture for Disney to include trick-or-treating, I will say that lack of food on a cruise ship is not something that occurs. So while yes, I was excited to get some candy, I didn't really need it. I had been buying candy from Vanellope's the whole time. I have been eating desserts. I ate ice cream a billion times a day. You know, I wasn't like, oh yes, finally, something sweet. I've been dying over here with all this nasty food. No, it was just like, oh, like candy. Okay, I get that. And then also keep in mind that if like you're flying home and you need to pack all this candy, or if you're worried about it melting somewhere, like you have to also take into consideration how you're getting all of that back to where you live. So what we did is we just took like a handful of candy and then ate it like periodically. I don't even think I ate it all. I think I threw some of them away. So yes, it's fun to do. The kids really love it. In reality, I ended up with a lot of candy that I didn't really need, and it was candy that I didn't really want because I was full like the majority of the cruise, and I'd rather eat other foods than Skittles.
Bartering and trading.
Bartering and trading. I could grab you to kind of put some.
So, what would
I don't like
offer me
gummies.
For these?
All my gummies. All one of my gummies.
For two of these?
And these Halloween Skittles, 3 for 2. One of the things I love about Halloween time at Disney World is during the party, the characters dress up in their Halloween costumes. They do the same on the ship, and you can take pictures with them on your navigators most of the time. They will have, when it's the character dressed in their costume, highlighted on the navigator, that meet and greet will be in orange. That way you know who exactly it is you're meeting, because like on formal night, they dress up in their formal attire, not their Halloween attire. So pay attention on the navigator for that orange box so you know what it is they're wearing. Sometimes it's a black box, sometimes it's no different color. I know the Dream is really good about highlighting colors, and the Fantasy doesn't always highlight their colors. Throughout every cruise, all during the day, they have craft time. They have some that are just family crafts, and they have some that are adult-only crafts, and they have crafts that just happen in the kids club. Well, on the Halloween cruises, they have specific crafts that are Halloween crafts. It will say specifically Halloween crafts on them, and it'll be in different sections, whether it's in Vibe or Evolution or the D Lounge or wherever it is. They have them all over the ships at different times. Another really neat thing about Disney cruises that I love is Funnel Vision. It's where they play movies on the big screen outside. And on the Halloween cruises, they play a lot of Halloween movies. So they'll run like Twitches and Halloween Town and Haunted Mansion. So they'll be in the navigator, you can see when they're playing, but that also helps add to the atmosphere. For some reason, I feel like more inclined to like need to watch those movies on the ship when I could watch them anytime I want to at my house. But because it's on the navigator and I know I'm on a Halloween cruise, like I feel like I need to go watch that movie, but you don't. Like, don't plan your day around these movies. They're nice when you're at the pool already to listen to or watch on Funnel Vision, but it's not something that I would say like, oh, you're going on the Halloween cruise, make sure you watch Halloween Town outside on the funnel. But it is a nice thing that's added to the Halloween cruises to create atmosphere, but it's probably not something that you're actually going to sit down and do. So if you're weighing between a regular cruise and a Halloween cruise, know that that's not something that's going to tip you in the direction of a Halloween cruise. If you're on a Halloween on the high seas cruise and it's one of the longer cruises, they do tend to have a little bit more going on as far as like parties. They'll have Halloween parties in the kids club. You might see a few more crafts, they might play a few more movies, but all the basics that make up a Halloween on the high seas cruise will happen whether you are on a 3-night cruise or a 21-night cruise, although I don't think any of the 21-night ones were Halloween ones. One thing I was really looking forward to last time was to do the Sing and Scream, the Nightmare Before Christmas show that they do in the theater. That is only for the Halloween on the high sea cruises, and it's a 3D experience. And then something really neat happens at the end that I don't want to tell you because it's a spoiler alert. But we really wanted to do that. It played at 10 o'clock at night. I will say, I could not make it till 10 o'clock at night. I was getting up too early, doing too much stuff during the day. It was too late for me. I wanted to go to bed. So if you're wanting to do that and you have kids, sometimes they play it earlier in the day, like around 3 o'clock. So be on the lookout for that. But it's smaller on the navigator, so you really have to pay attention to what you're looking at, and then they make the big, huge post for the nighttime one. So pay attention to when that is on your specific cruise, and if there's earlier options, I would go earlier, because I really, really, really wanted to see it, but I just could not make myself stay up and do it. So I was disappointed I did not get to see it, but I do know what it is about and what all is involved, and it's a very neat thing, so try to see it if you can. Now, I think the biggest thing that everyone associates with the Halloween on the high seas cruises is the pumpkin tree. It's what you see in all the ads, on the commercials. It's like the main thing. It's the pumpkin tree that's in the atrium. And they do things with the pumpkin tree throughout the cruise. There is story time by the pumpkin tree, and during that time a caretaker will come out and tell stories about like why we have Halloween or why we carve pumpkins, those sort of stories. And then there's like magic that gets brought to the tree. So I would say if you bring your kids on the first night to the pumpkin tree, every time you see pumpkin tree stuff, you'll want to make sure you bring your kids to that. Even if you don't do any of the planned pumpkin tree events on at least the last night, because if you're a shorter cruise, so there's at least one night where you'll get to see the pumpkin tree all lit up and pretty, and you can take pictures. So I do recommend at least paying attention to the pumpkin tree. If you're not going to go to the specific event of pumpkin tree storytelling, at least pay attention, acknowledge it, and if you have kids, like see if they can figure out what's different about the tree from one day to the next. But the pumpkin tree thing is really cool. They make the atrium like super scary, like, okay, not scary like terrifying, but it's really themed, and the atmosphere completely changes when they do pumpkin tree stuff, and it's pretty cool. So I would at least hang out to see it a little bit if you're just like passing by on to something else. The Halloween on the high sea cruises happen a ton over the fall. They do decorate the ship for Halloween. If you've seen things in the parks, you might recognize some things on the ship. They put pumpkins in their portholes, and they do play Halloween music sometimes, and they do have the ghost host come over the speaker and say announcements of all the Halloween things that are going on for that day. The ghost host is the same ghost host that you might hear at the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. I love listening to the ghost host. Just that alone made me happy that I was on a Halloween cruise.
Check your personal navigator for showtime. We're dying to have you.
I love when they do Halloween announcements. I love the Halloween guy.
Everybody.
So yes, I do think that they're worth the hype. I really enjoyed ours. It added a different atmosphere and something else to do on the ship. If you are one that always sails on normal sailings or maybe a maritime cruise, like this is something that'll add excitement to your cruising. If you are able to go on a Halloween on the High Seas cruise, then I would totally recommend it. It doesn't add anything negative to your trip. It doesn't take away from stuff that you would be doing if it weren't for the Halloween. It's not like they're taking away all this fun stuff because they're adding the Halloween element. It's just in addition to everything else that's awesome on your Disney cruise. Give me a like so I know that you're here. Check out some other videos of mine. I will see you next time. Bye, cruisers!